Okay, my wonderful students, we are in our textbook. We are in our textbook. We are on page 81. In our textbook, page 81. We are practicing the simple present tense. We are practicing the simple present tense, and the subject is going to be he and she. So this is going to be, it's actually called third person singular. I know, third person singular. The more English as a second language classes you take, the more often you will hear that. I don't usually use it because it's like, what? But that's what is called third person singular. He and she. In simple present tense, the verb for he and she needs to have an S. When we are talking about everyday things or habits. Okay, so let's listen to the example and then we will practice these 6 conversations down here. Okay, here we go.
Page 81. People around the world. Listen to the model.
What's his name?
His name is Miguel.
Where does he live?
He lives in Mexico City.
What language does he speak?
He speaks Spanish.
What does he do every day?
He eats Mexican food, he reads Mexican newspapers, and he listens to Mexican music.
So this is example number 1. So now we're going to do number 1. Okay? So the first question, let's start with this first. Is this going to be he or she? Correct, she. Because it is she, we use her. What's her name? And the answer is, her name is Kate. Her name is Kate. Where does she live? And the answer is, she lives, because this is the verb, we need the S. She lives in Toronto. Oh, she lives in Toronto. What language does she speak? What language does she speak? And the answer is, she speaks, oh, English. She speaks English. What does she do every day? What's her habit? What does she do every day? She eats Canadian food. She reads Canadian newspapers. And she listens to Canadian music. My goodness, that's a lot. I know, but we're going to practice some more. Number two. Okay, so he or she, correct, he. We also use for he, we use his. First question, question number 1. What's his name? Answer. His name is Carlos. His name is Carlos. Where, for location, where does he live? Answer. He lives in San Paul. Oh no, San Juan, sorry. I have to look at it backwards. What language does he speak? What language does he speak? He speaks Spanish. He speaks Spanish. Here's our question here. What does he do every day? He eats Puerto Rican food. He reads Puerto Rican newspapers. And he listens to Puerto Rican music. Number 3, he or she. Correct, she. And what other word do we use? Correct, her. What's her name? Answer. Her name is Anna. Her name is Anna. Where, for location, where does she live? Where does she live? Oh, here we go. That's right. She lives in Athens. She lives in Athens. What language does she speak? She speaks Greek. What does she do every day? She eats Greek food. She reads Greek newspapers. And she listens, she listens to Greek music. So, because it is she eats, she reads, she listens. Okay, number four. First question that I ask is he or she? He. And we need to use his. What's his name? And the answer is his name is Ming. His name is Ming. Where, location, where does he live? Correct. He lives in Hong Kong. He lives in Hong Kong. What language does he speak? He speaks Chinese. He speaks Chinese. What does he do every day? He eats Chinese food. He reads Chinese newspapers. And he listens to Chinese music. He eats, he reads, he listens. Okay, number five. I know we're almost finished. He or she, correct, she. And we need to use what other word? Correct, her. What's her name? What's her name? Her name is Sonia. Her name is Sonia. Where does she live? Where does she live? She lives in Rio de Janeiro. I know you say it much better than me, but I say it very American. Oof. What language does she speak? What language does she speak? Does she speak Spanish? No, not in Brazil. She speaks Portuguese. What does she do every day? She eats Portuguese food. What else does she do? She reads Portuguese newspapers and she listens to Portuguese music. Okay, last one. Yay! He or she. Correct, he. And what's the other word we need to use? His. So we need to say, what's his name? What's his name? And the answer is, his name is Omar. Where does he live? He lives in Cairo. He lives in Cairo. What language does he speak? He speaks Arabic. He speaks Arabic. What does he do every day? He eats Egyptian. No, he eats Egyptian food. He reads Egyptian newspapers and he listens to Egyptian music. He speaks, he eats, he reads, he listens. Very nice practice. Now remember, we will be practicing this for another 4 weeks. So just relax, and we have a lot of practice to do.